welcome everybody to the June 26, 2025 meeting of the Eastham Board of Health. This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. All right, first thing on our agenda is opening statements. And I will look to my left and see if Susan or Hillary have any opening statements.
I just have some updates for you.
Okay.
As you know, the sewer project passed both at town meeting on Monday and at the ballot yesterday. Congratulations, everybody.
Yeah.
We had a measles and mumps, an MMR clinic a few weeks ago, well attended at the high school. All of our restaurants, pools, and well, just about all of our restaurants and pools are inspected and opened for the 2025 summer season.
Great.
As you know, we do team inspections with building and health and fire. We are in between building inspectors right now, so those have been done with the fire department only right now. Last Friday was the first Eastham Farmers Market. Those will be going on every Friday through the rest of the summer. We will be inspecting them every Friday and just meeting and greeting with the vendors that have food operations. And then once again, we are partnering with Food for Kids for the summer. So we'll be getting 10 bagged lunches a day that go into the community fridge, as well as a sizable number going to the Eastham Rec Camp program.
Oh, good.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Updates.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. Any other opening statements?
No.
No. Okay. Then we're moving on to our public hearing. And do I need to do anything special? We're just
open it up.
okay. We are opening up the public hearing on 2740 NAUSET Road, 35 Oakleaf Road with John Chavez.
And so we as a board have not discussed this yet because we haven't met. So we did issue some correction orders on May 14th to Corey Brundage of Brundage Siteworks, Greg Morris of GFM, and Mr. Chavez, who is the property owner. We had received some complaints that had come in probably early May, and we did go out and have a look, and it did seem like there were some activities going on out there that created a nuisance situation and that were occurring in our groundwater protection district that would not be necessarily permitted under our current regulations today. So we issued correction orders asking them to cease operations. Corey, in a conversation, agreed to clean up 35 Oakleaf, which is the one he was operating upon. Greg sent a letter, and Mr. Chavez requesting a hearing to discuss the matter in front of the board. So I think you have a copy of the enforcement orders, which cites the sections of the regulations that we're looking at. And with that, I would open it up to Mr. Chavez and Greg to come and speak. You could come up to the table or stand at the mic, wherever you're comfortable.
Whatever, and just please, for the benefit of the folks, especially on Zoom, introduce yourselves.
Greg Morris, GFM.
Steve DiGiovanni, GFM.
John Chaves.
All right. So I guess we would be interested in hearing your perspective or response to the letter that was sent to you about the cited violations of Board of Health regulations. There are two different ones, Section 3 and Section 6, being groundwater protection and nuisance.
Okay, so I'm the property owner of the property, and it's been ongoing work since I purchased the property in 2001, cleaning it up and fixing things up and taking things to the dump that need to be taken to the dump and grading things and cleaning the place up. So it's been an ongoing thing throughout the years. So these guys here have been helping me do that. I've been using their equipment as I can to do that. And it's just it's an ongoing process. Along with that, some work has been done there as well. So I do plan on presenting a development to the town. So a lot of it is in conjunction with like cleaning things up and organizing things over there. So,
Can I, just to clarify, just for my own benefit, and then I'll open it up. So when you purchased it, there was stuff that needed to be cleaned up
Yeah.
on the property
correct.
that you've been slowly cleaning for the past 20-odd years. Have materials been added to the property since then?
I originally stripped the property, like underneath the power lines to clean it up and to organize it. So, yeah, I made piles of dirt there.
So you did, in just cleaning it, you created new piles, but
On my own,
no,
right.
but I'm just, within the past 20 years, has new stuff come in onto that property since you purchased it?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
two contractors that brought materials on the property, some of which I used, some of which they used, and, yeah, so, yeah.
So it's for, they're storing things there, but your intent, I just want to make sure I understand, eventually is to clean everything up because you want it to be able to develop the property?
Exactly, right. Right. I've been very busy with construction in South Carolina, so it's been tough for me to do everything I want to do, but it's coming to a point where I can do it. I can do what I've always wanted to do, and trying to make that happen now. These guys have been great trying to help out and offer any assistance that they can, so, I appreciate that, but, there's been other things going on there in conjunction with that as well, so, but, the materials that were brought in are all good construction materials that I can use on the property, that I plan on using on the property, and, it's just gonna aid in doing, what needs to be done with the property, so.
So, just to, do you want to?
Yeah, I just want to add, I'm not so concerned about site development for future development, but we currently don't have any plans in front of us. I'm particularly concerned about the asphalt millings, because I think there is an amount of material there that is in excess of what would be permitted to be stored on a residential lot. And I'm concerned about the two businesses that were operating there in our groundwater protection district, because I believe that asphalt millings contain petrochemicals and some other hazardous materials in our drinking water supply. So I don't have a problem with a future development. I think that's great. What I'm concerned about is what's existing there now and what has been brought onto that property and is just sitting there and growing day by day.
Well, I think what's there is what they call T-base, and T-base is a pretty well-known term with the state.
Yep.
Mass Highway, the town of Eastham, everybody uses T-base for roads, so, Greg was very kind to put that there for my use to be able to get back into sandy areas. What it's used for is to tighten up like sandy areas that you can't travel on, where the wheels start turning and chucking. You put a layer of T-base on it, and all of a sudden you can drive over it safely and be able to get your equipment around safely. So T-base is part of the Cape. You can buy it anywhere. So you can go to any asphalt plant, any sand and gravel plant, they're gonna have a pile of that material.
I don't disagree that it's a commodity. It is a commodity, it is not a solid waste item, but stockpiled like that is not permitted by the regulations.
Well, if I'm gonna use it,
Well, but
it could be
You're gonna use
used.
it for a subdivision, you gotta
Yeah,
have
I
the
need
amount you
material to do it. I
And
have
also,
12
there's other
There's 12 acres there.
contractors-
It's not like it's just 1 acre. It's 12 acres of land. It's gonna take quite a bit of material, so.
But we don't have a plan for a subdivision, and we don't have a plan for using any of these materials.
I've met with Paul Legg,
I'm aware of that.
okay, and the outgoing building inspector, and we made them aware of our plans, and they were in agreeance of it, and they actually gave us like some tips or pointers as to what the town might like to see. So I went and engaged with a engineering firm, and I have another set of plans. I brought them a set of plans already, but I have another set that's just fresh that came out last week that show, roads and homes and things like that. So it's moving forward, and, I'd like to get the concept plan, like, before the board very soon, like within a month, and hopefully get some kind of a backing on it so I can proceed just to have the finals done, so I can submit it for approval and proceed forward with it.
Okay.
It just takes time. There's a lot of people that have been using the property. I don't say anything with the town using it, the high school using it, with the track team running through there and everything, but, I mean, it's, you know, I always want to maintain it so that, you know, it's, you know, kind of somewhat safe and everything too, you know? I mean, there's all kinds of things growing in there and everything, and past materials that were put there, steel and things like that, you know, cleaned up.
Right, so I think that, just to be clear on, at least from my perspective, what we as the Board of Health are concerned with is the current situation, materials that are currently there, regardless of when they got there or where they're going in the future, and the potential that they could harm the groundwater and the drinking water for the town. I mean, that is our responsibility. And if there's anything that is happening on your property, or materials on your property that violate the current reg in terms of posing a hazard or a threat to the drinking water for the town, then it's incumbent on us to ask you, or several of you, I'm not sure how it works, to do something about it to mitigate that risk. Is that, Hillary, is that a fair statement?
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
What is the difference if it's piled up or it's put down on the road for a road base, for a development?
We don't have any plan for roadways, so we
Well,
don't.
he's saying he's going to have it
But
eventually.
we don't have any approved, we don't have, there's nothing that's been presented to the town that was approved, that went through all the boards, that, you know, so it's all like, there's nothing for us to go on there.
There's an existing road that everybody uses, okay?
But-
That's what we've been using it on. The road that goes into the back, that goes to the cell tower, goes to the water tower, goes to Dennis Murphy's gravel pit, it's being treated like a public road. I've been letting everybody go through there, but by rights, no one's supposed to be going through it except for Dennis. And everybody uses it, the town, the public, everything. It's got to be maintained, it is maintained, and it's maintained with that material. So there is an existing road, and it's been, I guess it's been approved because everybody uses it, so I need to maintain that road. That road is full of potholes, and people ride their bikes through there, they walk through there, they drive their cars through there. It's like
I don't
it's
know
like a
what
town
road
road,
is
but it's
that?
really not a town road, so,
It's
I mean,
it's the dirt sand road that goes straight back. If you take it straight, you can take a left and go to the power lines, or you can go straight back to the Murphy pit.
So who has, there's, let me see, I think there's the right-of-way for the power lines is there? Is that not true? And
That's true.
And I'm not exactly sure who, you know, like that, the road that you're talking about, if that is the access road to the water tower? I mean, like, or do we, is that the road that we use, that the town uses to go to the water tower?
I believe it is the road that the town uses to go to the water tower. I do not know if it's a private road, a public road. I don't know the ownership of the road.
you know, I can straighten that out right now. It's my property, and no one has the right to go across it. I'm not that way. I'm a very giving, sharing guy, so I'm not gonna stop people from crossing a property. It's safer for people to go down my road, my property, than to travel along the bike path, which is the town's right-of-way. It's very narrow, and it exits right on the bike path, like at a weird angle, so that you really can't see bike traffic coming through. So rather than going through that and being hard on using that, I don't have a problem with the town using it, and I plan on making that a town public way. That's part of the plans that I'm doing right now, is to make that a public way, so it's legally a public way for the public to travel through with all the right credentials for a roadway and a right, you know, road building methods and everything that the town approves. So I plan on doing that for the town, so, you know, it's just, it takes a little bit of time, and in between that time, it's sand, and it does need to be maintained, and it gets potholes from the trucks traveling through there. You know, there must
So
be
the-
200 trucks going through there a day, plus the
Maybe
town.
Why are there two?
Oh, look, and let's not even go, regardless of all of that, the information that was presented to us suggests that what is currently on the property violates current regulation for the town, with respect to groundwater protection and nuisance enforcement, two different pieces. That is the information that we have. Regardless of what it's used for, or roads, or who uses the roads, I can't even answer any of that. But to me, my responsibility is to make sure that whatever's on that property, if indeed it is in violation of current regulations, we do something to address that. And I don't know what the remediation is. Do you move it off? I don't know, but we need to address this allegation, regardless of who's out there and the uses of the road, and which I can't even speak to.
I would like to say one thing about the asphalt pile. First of all, the pile has not been tested. So you're throwing out
Okay.
something that doesn't even exist. That pile is perfectly safe. It poses no harm to the public at all. If that pile is tested and it does have chemicals in it, that pile will be off that property in a heartbeat. To my knowledge, that is regular asphalt grindings, which is on every roadway on the Cape. There is no other chemicals in there that are that are in the roads throughout the town. No one has done any testing on that material. So if someone has done testing on the material and there is hazardous chemicals in there, I want to know immediately, because I want that material off my property. Right now, that material is clean and it poses no threat to the health. to
Okay, and the
anybody
one
around
difference, and
here.
Hillary, correct me if I'm wrong here, is this is our groundwater protection zone. So there may well be similar materials in other places, but not specifically in a groundwater protection zone. That makes it a special,
It's the stockpiling of it.
Well, the town has a stockpile of the same material right next door in the groundwater district. And the town of Eastham's DPW has a stockpile of that material right next to my property in the same water district. And Dennis
Okay.
Murphy has a huge pile in the back of his property that's in the groundwater protection. So
That's the
it's
same
no
stuff.
different than anybody
Okay.
else there. I don't know why we're being picked on, why we're being picked on when it's going on everywhere throughout
And
that whole
Okay.
area.
The
Fair enough,
last
hang on.
8 years, you guys have been putting water in, using that back pit. You've had T-base back there too, and they never said a word to any of the contractors back there about it.
I mean, the town is doing it right on my property and on their property, which abuts my property, in the same spot.
okay, so there are a few questions here, but Hillary has something to
I guess
say.
I'm confused on where the pile is on town property. I know we abut your property. It seems like your piles are encroaching onto town property, so we are in the process of surveying that line. I have not seen asphalt millings on the town of Eastham property, so I'm
Okay.
curious where they are.
Okay, so you have the radio tower, and right behind the radio.
T-Mobile tower?
T-Mobile tower, right behind the T-Mobile tower, there was a huge pile of T-base. It's leveled, but it's leveled very uneven, and it's about that thick, and if you go back there, you can see it there. There's a huge pile back there.
I'll absolutely go back there because I am consistent. If there's nothing else, I am consistent.
I would
and-
not say it if it wasn't true.
No,
There's a
I'll
pile
certainly
back there.
go look, and that's fine. And when I approached Greg initially, he said, if you're coming to me, go look at Dennis. And I absolutely went to look with Dennis. I've spoken with Dennis, and we're pursuing that as well. So I don't think this is a matter of being singled out, because you're not being singled out.
Okay,
I can assure you of that.
I want to get one, like, engineering geotechnical fact out there right now. Whoever the genius was that designed the water system for the town, when they designed where the wells were going to go, they're pretty smart, because they took in consideration of all the development in the area, and where they put the wells are up gradient of all the properties that we're discussing right now. So they thought, okay, if there's a potential of these wells getting contaminated, we're gonna put them upstream so they can never get contaminated. So those wells are up gradient of our property. So anything in Dennis's property, my property, the town's property is down gradient, so the water travels away from the wells. The groundwater could never contaminate those wells. They were designed that way. They were put in that spot so that could never happen. Why my property ever got designated Groundwater Protection Act, it's not right, because it's not a good purpose of, it just hurts me, because there's no way my property could ever affect those wells, because the groundwater does not travel that way. It travels towards the ocean. I paid a lot of money to have a company come in there and test the groundwater, and whoever designed the wells was perfect. They designed it, upgraded my property, and my property should never be in a groundwater. It just hurts me, because There's no reason, there's no fact, there's no scientific reason, engineering reason why my land and all the land there is in a Water Protection Act, because there's no way it could ever impact the wells. I paid a lot of money to have that determined, so I just
can
want you to know that.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think everything that you're bringing up, I think we would need to see, I think we need to see what the legal, what the maps are, like where the property line is, and the use of the land, which was not made by me or you, but it's the use of the land, and I'm not sure when it was made water protection, but it's been quite a long time. So, whichever way the groundwater flows, it's still a matter of, I think we need to,
Right.
see the maps, and if you have issues with this, it would become a legal matter for you to go to court and change the designation if that's, something that you want to get into, because right now, it is what it is.
Right, I understand that. It's just very unfair that all of the facts that are on the ground are such, and that, I have to jump through hoops with groundwater protection when it rightfully should not be groundwater protection, because it doesn't impact the
But it
wells
was
in the
that
area.
way when you bought, it wasn't made that way after you bought the land, it was already that way.
The regulations went in 2015.
In 2015?
Yeah, and I bought it in 2001, so,
I don't think, I think they were there before that, about that district being, I think it was before that, Hillary. That,
I'm pretty sure it was around then, because we didn't have our municipal water supply prior to that, so there was not a push to have a groundwater protection district, because we did not have a municipal well.
we didn't
And
at
that,
the point.
we updated it when we were doing the high school sewer, or septic project, remember, we included that then. That was even after that.
Yeah, I mean, and regardless, we're here today, so things change over 25 years, they just do. So we're here today, the assertion is that you are violating the regulations that are in place for the groundwater protection. That is the basic bottom line. So, and you've been, ordered to cease and desist, and this is you've requested a hearing, so it's your opportunity to say why you shouldn't cease and desist, or how you will, or what happens in the future, so that we can be comfortable that we are enforcing regulations for the town of Eastham.
I have very good intentions on that property. It's gonna come out amazing for the town and for the people in the area. I have some really good plans for that property, and I don't, one of my things is not to get into anything with the town about this and that, because it's really, it's not moving forward for the good of everybody.
and-
So I don't go there, but I do want to say this right now. I object to that pile being called hazardous, because that pile is not hazardous. It does not have any chemicals that are hazardous to the water. Everything that asphalt is composed of is throughout the whole streets, throughout the whole Cape Cod. So if that pile is hazardous, every road in the town is hazardous waste on it, okay? Because by right, by my owner's right, I can improve my property. So if I want to make little cart paths on my property, I can have Greg haul that material into me. I can make cart paths on my property as a residential. If I want to make a walking trail on my property and walk around, and I want to walk on T-base, I can have Greg haul that material to my property and put it right where it is right now, and take a bucket loader and bring it to where I need it on my property. I have the right to do that. That material is not hazardous. So I don't know, I mean, it's not right that you're saying that it's hazardous without even running any tests on a material, just calling it hazardous. That's not right. That's not very fair either. I mean, I could walk on your property and say your topsoil pile's hazardous, it needs to get out of there. And without any information from me proving that it's hazardous, that's kind of a frivolous statement, and it's a damaging statement. That's not right. So if it comes to pass that pile is hazardous, I'll tell you right now, no one's gonna go there and dig harder and find out what's going on than me. But I can guarantee you right now, there is nothing hazardous in that pile, so.
Okay.
And Chris Lynch will have a problem with me if it's hazardous, okay? He'll have a big
Hillary,
problem
oh,
with me,
sorry.
I'll tell you right now. I'll go right up to him and we'll have a little discussion, heart to heart, so.
There's another issue there also with the piles, which were not always there. I mean, this has been in the past, since the winter, like within the past year. Before that, whatever was going on there was basically not much.
Right.
There was Brewster sand and gravel back there, and they didn't have asphalt piles there. They
Well,
broke.
they did.
Well,
They did. They've always had asphalt. Dennis has always had asphalt and concrete piles. He's been making T-base for 20 years, 20, 30 years. And, the property that I own was old MF Roach asphalt plant. So they had piles of asphalt there and T-base and all kinds of products throughout the 50s, 60s, right up until what happened when I bought it. But, I mean, things change, though.
May I just say, because it was a problem, because that was a Mass DEP toxic site, and it had to be cleaned up, and the reason was, it wasn't just the making of the asphalt, it was the trucks going in and out, and, spilling fuel oil. That was, a whole problem with that, and the fact that that was an area that was set aside to be used for water should the town ever,
Right.
get it together to get town water, which they finally did.
Right.
So,
I understand.
and that is one of the additional problems, is whatever you guys are doing there, I don't know, but I do know that there's trucks going in and out of there frequently. The road there has been like a mess with, whatever they're spilling from the back of the dump truck on the road, and people have complained, just saying.
Yeah.
So,
Everybody knows that place is the industrial place in Eastham. There's more trucks that go down that road every day than anywhere else, commercial use in this town. It would be great to have like a passive commercial use there for some of the local contractors, maybe in the future, landscapers and stuff like that, but it has a lot of truck traffic, and it's not these guys, it's people going back to the gravel pit in the back, and it's the town going to their gravel pit. The town accesses it with their dump trucks and their loaders and their heavy equipment, and it's truck after truck going into the back, either to BSG or to Dennis's place back there. And these guys have trucks too, but nothing in comparison to what goes back there.
Okay, so,
I'm here to work this out. I'm not here to be, like, we're gonna.
yeah,
No.
we
And
want to
the
protect
thing
the
is,
groundwater.
things change, so,
Yeah.
okay, so I wasn't in a situation where I could do work on the property a couple years ago. Now I am, so that's why now there's piles there. Everybody's situations change often, so even though there wasn't a pile of material there, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and there is now, well, now is the time I can start doing stuff on the property, because I can afford to do it, and I have the time to do it. So things change, so saying that there was never piles there before, well, it doesn't prohibit me to do what I want to do with the property, as long as it's within my rights to do it. So if I
well, again,
want to.
as you are, I'm sure you're well aware, like any town that you live in, that
Yep.
you own property in this
Yep.
country, they have, there are regulations, there's
Right.
like things that you
Yep.
have to
Yep.
do before, you can't just say, well, I'm just gonna,
Yep.
here's my pile of asphalt and I'm gonna make a road here.
Well, if it's on my property, we live in the United States, I can do that.
Okay.
We don't live in
But,
Russia or
and-
China, so if I want to go and if I want to make a road on my property, I have the rights to do that, as long as it conforms with the town's bylaws.
As long as we don't, as you
And I
don't
don't make, and I don't make
contaminate the
laws.
groundwater.
No.
As long as it conforms with the bylaws of the
Right.
town, which is a process.
Exactly.
It's a process that has to be gone through,
Right.
so.
If it's a dust issue, I'll talk to Dennis about that. We'll get a water truck out there and we'll take care of the dust, because dust on the neighbors' places, I don't agree with it. Okay, dust is not good. So trucks are coming in and out, they're causing a big dust storm.
They are.
And it's blowing on people's houses. I'm not for that, because every job that I do in that manner, I have a water truck to make sure make sure there's no dust. So, I mean,
Okay. Hillary, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we have seen a water truck on one occasion, but a number of the complaints that have come in have been dust, noise.
Because it is a residential area, you know, and like, I mean, like, people don't want to be breathing that stuff in.
no, I don't, no, hey, I stand by your side on that. I will do some research into the dust control and to mitigate any kind of dust and make sure it's watered properly so there's no dust going out there. As far as noise, I mean, the town, there's trucks coming in and out of there with the tailgates banging all the time. I mean, that's why the T-base is there, to fill in the holes so that the tailgates don't bang and make that much noise. So it's not these guys, it's like 200 trucks that go into the gravel pit in the back a day. So to identify who it is, whether it's Dennis's trucks that are going in or these guys, I don't know, but, you know, there is like an hours of operation in the town. I think it's 7 to 5 or something like that, so, or whatever it is, but, I mean, I'm here to work with the community, so I'm not,
We appreciate that.
we're not gonna,
Hillary?
I think I'm gonna suggest, if we could hear a few words from Alex Weishite, who's our town council, who's on the line.
Oh.
See if he can add anything to the discussion
Excellent.
to help us along here. And, I think our position is clear. From what I'm hearing, these folks want to leave the piles of material and maybe lay out roads or develop a walking path or do something in the meantime. And then I would suggest perhaps we hear from a few abutters, just so we're not talking in circles and, you know, talking about all things that aren't before us right now,
All right, so we're going to go to Alex now? Is that,
if we could.
okay.
I don't know if he has anything to add.
Alex, yes?
Oh, can you hear me, Madam Chair?
Yes, and can you introduce yourself also, just
For the record.
Sure, happy to. My name's Alex Weishite. I'm an attorney with KP Law, Town Council for the Town of Eastham.
Okay,
So Hillary and I did have a chance to discuss some of the background here, and I reviewed the board's regulations for groundwater protection district. And my understanding is the main concern here is about these piles of asphalt material, which, it does seem that those are not consistent with the requirements of these regulations. So, I think at this point it's really up to the board to decide whether you agree that they can stay there or not, and that's a determination for the board to make, and we'll see where we go from there.
and just a quick question, so the piles, just so I'm grounding myself in the regs, do present a significant risk of contaminating groundwater? Is that a fair statement?
I mean, I'm not a scientist, Frank, to be honest, but
Yeah.
I know
But that
Hillary's
is-
concern.
That is the reason
that-
that we don't want them there.
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
that's the concern. Yep.
Okay. And so, and then, Elena, I'm really sorry. I have one more question. Then I'll open it up. If the individuals before us agreed to remove said piles, I'm not sure how or where, would that satisfy the concerns on behalf of the town of Eastham?
I mean, I defer to Hillary on
Okay.
that, but I would think so.
So I think the asphalt millings are what we're most concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
The other piles appear to be clean sand, clean stone, wood chips just arrived recently, things that are generally inert.
Okay. But so we just want to focus on the asphalt millings?
I have a question. If it wasn't in the watershed area, would it be fine?
We don't have Board of Health regulations that prohibit stockpiling of asphalt millings under the Board of Health. Would it be fine? I don't think I would give an answer to that without a thorough review of our regulations.
But like for, like, to me, what we're presented with, that's very specific violations, are the Board of Health regulations, and that has to do with groundwater protection.
So if it wasn't in the groundwater protection, it really.
wouldn't be
you
our-
couldn't really say anything. It wouldn't be
I
your-
don't know. I would want to look at our regulations more thoroughly and probably talk to the state.
Yeah, so it just may not be under the purview specifically of the Board of Health, but maybe, until Hillary does her research, I guess we can't answer
I
that.
mean, what were you, I'm not sure what you were like, what.
I'm
was
just
your-
saying, if there was another spot in
it-
Eastham,
Yeah, somewhere else to put it.
somewhere else that you put it,
Like
and it wasn't in the watershed,
In the zoned industrial area behind
so-
Brackett Road, for
yeah,
example?
yeah.
I think that would be suitable, although I would still be concerned if there are any drinking water wells around there, which I don't know. So we'd have to do some research.
I just really have a problem with the whole concept that calling it hazardous waste and contamination when you don't even know what the components are of the material you're talking about, is kind of really backwards. I mean, I would,
Right,
if I made
how
a
do
statement
you
like
do
that, I
that?
would want to make sure that the components in that product actually will contaminate something. I wouldn't just want to say it's going to contaminate something if you don't even know if
Okay,
it's going to
hang on.
contaminate something.
Okay,
Thank
but
you.
these particular asphalt millings come from the Route 6 construction project, right? They come from the Route 6 roadway. Roadways contain solvents, they contain diesels, they contain petrochemicals. I mean, I wouldn't want that sitting next to my well, nor would I want it being dumped and moving through the air. So I agree, once you process them, they're less hazardous, but you don't have a permit to process asphalt millings for that property.
Why would it be
They were already
less,
processed. They were processed in the field and trucked there.
why would it be less though, Hillary? I'm just curious. Why would it be less hazardous, whether they were on the ground or they were screened and processed? Because they were
Because-
processed.
Because I guess that's a known fact. If you
What-
process them and encapsulate them and put them down on a road, they're sealed in. This is an unsealed, open, exposed pile.
That pile is probably more sealed in than some of the roadways.
You mean it's there forever?
No,
It's
no,
gonna stay
no,
there?
No, no, no.
You know.
no.
You
no,
can
no,
see it
just
from satellite,
It's
by the
very,
way.
it's just saying, it just emulsifies, and it's not, everything inside's not getting into the ground. It's just that little bit that's coming over. I mean, whether
Or
you
it's-
spread them out over the whole parking lot, or you have a pile of them, it's not gonna make a difference.
I see a hand there, and I know Hillary also wanted to ask if there are abutters that wanted to speak. So if there, I don't know if you're an abutter, sir? If you are,
I'm a resident.
okay. If you want to speak, if you can come to the microphone again and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Right. You can just get a couple notes and respond. Nunzio Plecci, 2640 NAUSET Road. I've been a resident there for 12 years. Before I start, I do want to share, I'm gonna put this back here a little bit. I have to share a letter of one of the neighbors who wished to be here but couldn't be here. So,
Do you want to read it into the record?
I'll let you read it.
Okay.
It's quite long. Okay? And Steve is directly affected to the property.
Can we read it out loud just so that the...
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
would
be-
yeah.
okay, so here
To
we go.
Who it's from, and go through it.
To whom it may concern, I wanted to write to follow up on the complaints regarding the operations ongoing on the properties indicated above. I have been in touch with Greg Morris of GFM and Corey Brundage of Brundage Site Works. Correction orders have been sent to the property owners, Messrs. CHAVES, as well as the two businesses, ordering them to cease and desist from their operations. As you know, the operations are in violation of Board of Health Regulations Section 3 and Section 6. The work and illegal storage of asphalt shavings continues at the property without the required permits or the state-required water contamination plan, which at this point can be considered intentional and criminal. Myself and others in Eastham have grave concerns over the quality of the town's drinking water, as well as the local source of well water due to the leaching of the toxic asphalt shavings and other non-inert materials being dumped and stored. In addition, the property remains bare to vegetation and ground cover, continues to house heavy equipment operating in early and late hours with high-capacity diesel fuel trucks, and the operation has been adding to the piles of toxic materials, which places the residents of Eastham, Mass's drinking water at a public health risk. The state of Massachusetts has several laws addressing these issues, including the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, Hazardous Waste Material Act, Oil and Hazardous Materials Release and Prevention Act, and Water Wetlands Protection Act. These can be enforced by several agencies, including Mass DEP, Mass Attorney General Crime Strike Force, and the Joint Task Force with the State Police and Mass DEP focused on prosecuting environmental crimes. Please take the appropriate action and have these operations cease and desist, revegetate the area, and guarantee safe and healthy drinking water for the town of Eastham. Regards, Steve Pernoweski, 65 Oak Leaf Road.
Well, first of all, that's a complete lie. No one's ever reached out
Hey,
to me.
excuse, it's our turn. Thank
Well,
you.
no, I'm just being
Okay,
honest.
no,
And how
no.
long did you live here? 12 years? Wow, you've lived here a long time.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
The
okay,
Cape?
okay.
Yeah, wow.
Hang on, he has the mic.
Yeah.
Let's just
Yeah.
So,
stop. Thank
let's,
you.
this is how it's done in town law.
Okay,
Okay?
go
Yeah,
ahead.
you're so professional, you are. That's a complete lie.
Just let him speak. Thank you. Please, please, thank you.
So, 12 years.
Wow.
The activity has been happening for 2
Please,
years.
sir.
For 2
Sir,
years. So we
please.
can document it for 2 years. So this is not just a recent. Now, I want to just start off with a date, okay? A very important date. The date is February 14th, 2006. Town of Eastham versus Great Blue Water Development Company, Supreme Court of Massachusetts. Are you familiar with that date, Mr. Chavez?
No.
You can, okay. Because you did attend. You lost a judgment against the town of Eastham. The Water Protection District was in fact here in 2006. Excuse me. Thank you. Okay? You lost the case. And you lost the case at the Supreme Court of Massachusetts because you were operating commercial activity in a residential area in a water protection district. Okay? The opinion number is 92501. Okay? You can read it.
Okay.
Now, here it is. You had 4 cease and desist letters since that time. You've ignored them. You ignored the Supreme Court of the state of Massachusetts. That's clear. So we can talk about T-base, whether it's active or not active, as far as dangerous. We know what it is, okay? That's immaterial. Commercial operations are not allowed there. It's clear. So the last 2 years, you've been doing it. So material, you say you want to use it for development. The material has been coming in, and it's been going out. Coming in, it's been going out. So it has been, okay? So we're not in dispute. It's a residential area. There's no commercial activity. Is not allowed. Vegetation is not allowed to be removed. Over 200 trees have been removed. And no fuel greater than 5 gallons stored. Here's 4 photos.
Thank you.
Show me. You broke the law. Not only did you break the law,
Relax about breaking the law.
excuse me.
Relax.
No, listen,
Are you an attorney?
I am not an attorney,
This is your
but
opinion.
here's what I am.
Then don't say you broke the law.
No, here's what I am. I'm well-read.
This is your
Okay.
opinion. This is
This
your
is my
opinion.
opinion.
His opinion,
That's
thank
fine.
you.
That's
Okay.
fine. That's fine.
The town of Eastham invested $130 million in our water system. It's going to take us decades to pay it. And then we have to pay for the sewer system. You are personally profiting off the risk assessment
Is this
for your
more
own
opinion?
self.
Is this more opinion?
This is
This
his
is my
This
opinion.
is your
This
opinion.
is his
Okay.
opinion. Let him
No,
finish, and then he will sit down.
Okay.
Stating a fact, which you're not.
Most
Madam
serious is
Chair,
contamination.
a comment should be directed to the chair. There should not be discussion between
Thank you.
anyone
Yeah.
in the
Okay,
audience.
thank you for that.
I'll do it through the chair.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a clear fact, okay? It is a clear fact that ground up asphalt contains heavy metals, PAH, and toxic material. That is not disputed. That is clear. Now, we can have it tested, okay? And now, a water containment is required by state law to have it there. So just storing it on your property. And against, the argument that you had against grandfather or evergreen permit of continuous construction, that does not hold true, okay? There's been cases with the Housatonic River in Western Mass where even when you had a permit, it's been reversed, and there's been a requirement to clean it up. So you don't have a permit, you don't have a building permit, but you are assuming that you're going to have a permit. So you continue, so you're doing work without a permit. On Cape Cod, where the state helped prosecute these people for criminal activities as it relates to
can-
environmental law.
For trying to make a living?
Okay, sir,
Unbelievable.
please.
Oh, I'm sorry, what were these that you gave to us?
These are pictures that
Pictures that,
this gentleman
Mr.
provided.
I am pro-business. I
Excuse
am,
So,
Yeah, it looks
can
that-
you,
I am
sir,
pro-manufacturing.
Yeah.
can you limit your comments
Yeah,
to
I'm-
this specific case? That would
Yeah.
be really helpful
I
to
will.
the discussion.
I'm actually done now, but
Okay,
I am pro-business and I am pro-manufacturing.
okay,
What I am not is somebody breaking the law.
okay. All right,
That's it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Is there anybody else here who would like to speak? Or on Zoom?
Listen, I'm going to leave because
you should.
gentleman threatened me, so.
I didn't threaten you.
So both of you,
How did I threaten you? What did I
We will-
say? What did I say? What did I say?
point of order, stop, please.
I didn't
He
threaten
is gone.
did
We
not
want to
threaten you.
continue a discussion. Thank you. We want to continue a discussion about a letter that was sent to you asserting violations of Eastham regulations. That's it. The rest of this is not my purview nor my interest. My interest is upholding the regulations in place to protect the safety of our groundwater. That,
I guess I don't think this is funny. I think we have a serious matter before us.
Yeah.
I think we've heard from our side, I think we've heard from these folks, and I think it's time that we just make a decision and move on. If there's no new information to provide, we can either uphold the order or we can vote to overturn the order.
okay,
Those are the two choices.
yeah, that's fine. So let me, Elena, you have not had a chance. Do you have questions or more information that you need in order to opine on whether to uphold the order or not?
I feel like I have an obligation in my role on the Board of Health to follow the regulations in the state. So I've been listening to see if there's anything that changes my sense that the letter has been following the regulations in the state, and so far, I don't think it has. You've made some allegations, but we have pretty rigid rules that we have to uphold for the town of Eastham, so that's my sense at this point. And in the future, if anything changes, then you can provide information to us.
And in respect to the letter that was given to us for what we're here for right now, if I thought in any part of my mind or any part of my being that actually posed a threat to the groundwater, we wouldn't even be sitting here right now. The pile would have been gone a long time ago, but I know, I work around the material, I know what it's composed of, and I worked around it for a number of years. Put it down on many Cape Cod roads for the towns and the cities, and, you know, that's why we're here talking about it now, because I wasn't quite sure exactly what the whole thing was about. So if it's about the T-base pile, even though I don't agree with what you know, your thoughts on it based on facts, I mean, we're here to try to work together here, so, you know.
Well,
it's not-
we
it's not-
appreciate that.
It's not try to, you know, butt heads and this and that, but, you know, everybody likes to be treated fair too, you know what I mean? I mean, it's, you know, I mean, I'm a
Absolutely.
common sense kind of a guy, so if it makes sense, chances are it's good. If it doesn't make any sense, chances are it's probably not good, so, I mean.
All right, well, I would like to suggest from my perspective, and my respect for my colleagues who are expert here, that in fact, this does pose a threat to the groundwater, given the pilings that exist, the proximity and the location within a groundwater protection overlay district. And my responsibility in terms of the Board of Health then suggests that we support the violations that have been issued, and that whatever next steps need to happen to address those violations do happen, so that we can assure the safe drinking water of people who have town water, but also people who have wells in the region. Whatever that is, safe water, safe drinking water is incredibly important. And I would be remiss if I didn't, to me, I would be remiss if I did not uphold that.
We all agree on that, 100%.
So may I say something?
Yeah.
I'm just in, the letter, the notification letter that was sent out specifies exactly what is concerning, and it says it right here, the operation and storage of construction equipment, land clearing, bulk storage of sand, material processing, and the associated impacts of noise, odor, and dust. And you were asked to remove all of those things from the site. Apparently, you told the town that you would remove all of this from the site within 30 days, so that would have been June 14th.
Wait,
That was only on 35 Oakleaf. That was Corey Brundage's operation, and he has since removed
He did.
most of the materials. There's still a truck and a few trailers on that parcel of land, and a pile of brush, which, as I understand it, was there before he came, and a pile of metal and things that weren't part of his operation.
okay, so this is 2740 NAUSET.
Yes.
Okay.
See, like, when I read that, like, piles of fill dirt, I mean, they don't pose a risk to the groundwater, it's just dirt, you know? So it's not like I was confused with that, because most of the things that were described aren't hazardous, so I don't know how to take
Okay,
it.
so what I'm reading is construction equipment, land clearing, bulk storage of sand and asphalt millings,
Sand,
material
right.
processing, and the generation of unreasonable noise, odor, and dust.
So like sand, I mean, I can pile sand there if I want to pile
But
sand there.
it's a whole, we're just reading, there's a
Yeah, yeah,
lot
yeah.
in here. It's not
Right.
just sand.
I know,
It's
but that's why I was
everything else.
confused, because it had things in there that didn't make any sense that would have, that,
Okay,
Well,
so,
regardless of that, you
Well-
know, what is going on, all of these things that is going on the site is comprising a threat to our drinking water, possible contamination to the water that is that Eastham is using as drinking water.
so that stands, I have a quick question. Hillary, in terms of the cease and desist and all of this, will you work together so that we make sure that this, if, you know, we uphold the order and we want to make sure that it's enforced? So it says to cease and desist, so from operating and storage, which means no storage, which means things must be removed. Is that correct?
So I think my read on it is that the storage of the sand and the other bulk materials, the stones and the other items that are not the asphalt millings pose the nuisance, right? I'm not
Yes.
100% concerned about those in the water protection district, although I'm not sure that they're being used on the site. I don't know. Mr. Chavez says they are. That's fine. Those are generally inert, as I said. It's
Okay.
the asphalt millings which pose a threat to the groundwater
Right.
district. That
So
is
those
what
will-
I am most concerned about removing from the site.
Okay, so those will need to be removed.
okay,
Those will need to be
they'll be
removed.
removed.
Can you,
Okay,
Hillary, can you give us 30 to 60 days to do that?
I'm happy to give you 30 days, and if there for some reason can't be moved in 30 days, then we could discuss it again. But I think, you know, I sit in an office, I have a phone, I have email, I've communicated with all of you. I am available to help.
Okay.
And at any moment in time, you could have called and we could have hashed something out. Like, there wasn't a need to get to this level. I want to work with people, I understand you're real people, you have jobs to do, there's business that needs to go on, you want to develop the lot, I understand all that. But you must also understand that we have regulations that we have to follow. we have abutters who complain, and we have, work that needs to get done. So we all need to move forward in a way that works for all of us. So I think 30 days would seem reasonable to me at this point to remove the asphalt fillings, and then we'll go from there.
Fair enough.
So this is the first I've heard about it. This
Okay.
letter was the first I heard about it.
Absolutely.
I didn't hear
I
anything
mean-
about it, because if I would've heard something previous, I would've probably been on it a little quicker than just receiving the letter, because it caught me like, off.
Okay,
a little
so,
bit, 'cause I didn't-
all right,
I
August
didn't
but-
know.
1st? Will August 1st be okay?
what's 30 days? 30 days is 30 days. I have to look at my calendar. But 30 days,
It's almost,
30 days,
I just want to make sure I have it out of there by then, that's all.
30 days.
Okay.
Okay, so we are agreed that it will be removed in 30 days. We are upholding the letter that was sent to you, and we will look forward to hearing at our next meeting that that you have met those requirements.
And as far as removing it in 30 days, once that's complete, there will be no fines or anything like that?
I hope not.
I hope not. I want to get that
Not really.
resolved
We can't
right now.
promise.
Just put it on the table right now. I want you all to tell me right now. I don't want no letters coming in the mail.
So, all right, so I think we're okay. To our council, any questions from you?
Madam Chair, I just would, as a procedural matter, I just would recommend the board taking a quick vote to
A quick
uphold.
vote to uphold the letters that
Yeah.
were sent, and do we also vote that we have agreed that we will provide 30 days for removal of the asphalt
Yeah.
pilings?
Sure, you
Okay.
can do that as well.
Okay,
Yep.
And that in addition, we will not, we will not, if they remove within the agreed time, they will not incur a fine.
Well, not
okay.
one.
Is that okay?
Thank you.
Yep, all that is fine.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. So I will make a motion first that we are upholding the letters that were sent by the town of Eastham regarding the, I gotta get the right addresses, 2740 NAUSET Road and, what's the other? 35 Oak Leaf Road. Do I have a second? This is just to accept the letters. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so we've done that. And that we have agreed that to meet the requirements of this letter, you have agreed to remove the asphalt pilings within a period of 30 days. You will work with the Eastham Department of Health to ensure that that happens. And should that happen, no fines will be levied. Yeah? Okay, second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that, okay, okay, make sure I do this right. Okay, good.
Could we get copies of the letter that this gentleman handed off to Hillary? At some point, I can get it from your office?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, you'll get that. All right, thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
thank you. All right. Moving on. Variance for 435 SHURTLEFF Road. Do I say that right?
You did.
Okay,
Madam Chair, for the
awesome.
record, Sean Riley with
Yeah,
Ty
I'm
and
sorry.
Bond.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
hang on.
So sorry, I do
Yep.
think you need to close out the public
Oh,
hearing.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Procedural mistake. Okay, the public hearing on 2740 Nauset Road and 35 Oak Leaf Road is concluded.
So you'll take a vote to close the public hearing.
Okay? I'd like a motion
adjourn and close.
to close the public hearing.
Yeah, aye.
Second?
Second.
Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the
Now
public
you'll
hearing.
open the regular meeting.
Okay, now we are going to open the regular meeting of the Eastham Board of Health of January 26, 2025.
Yes, at 4:04.
At 4:04, do I need to do the recording thing again?
To notify of recording.
Did
Video
you already do
recorded?
that for the public hearing?
Yeah, the
Well, I did it in the very, very beginning. Let me just do it again.
No, just do it anyway.
This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. Okay, we are now on item 4 on our agenda, which is 435 Shurtleff Road. And I believe that we have someone on Zoom ready to present.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Sean Riley with Time Bond. We also have online the architect, Kendra Seifert from McPhee Associates. This project is right on Cape Cod Bay. It's an existing developed property with a 3-bedroom dwelling and an accessory structure, garage slash guest cottage. The resource areas on this property are a coastal dune, coastal bank, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. There is a flood zone that comes into the northeast portion of the property. The green line, if you can see the screen, is essentially the limits of the flood zone. I have the highlighted dune line and coastal bank line shown in yellow. There's a 50-foot buffer from the coastal bank and the dune line shown in red, and then a 100-foot buffer shown in blue from those resource areas. Again, this is the existing condition. In red, we have the existing 3-bedroom sewage disposal system. Consists of a septic tank and leach field. The septic tank is in close proximity to the 50-foot buffer, and the leach field is essentially within the flood zone and at a lower elevation, closer to groundwater. The proposal before you is to essentially raise and replace both structures with a single structure, and I'll get to the reason we're here. So they're looking to, can you see my screen here? Do I
Yep.
have to reshare with the, okay.
Yep.
So you can see where the existing red system is. What we've done, and with guidance through staff, is to propose a new 3-bedroom system as far as possible from the resource areas, with a 5-foot variance to the street line and a 5-foot variance to the property line for the soil absorption system. The septic tank meets the setbacks to the property lines, but we're seeking relief to the resource areas as well, as we can't get them any further away. We're also adding a microfast system for nitrogen enhancement, and we do have to go to the Conservation Commission, but because of the sequence, Conservation is on the 8th, then we have to go to the Planning Board on the 16th of July, and we'd at least like to get a recommendation from the Board of Health on this proposal, if you're not willing to vote on it without a Conservation decision. But even if we do have changes through the Conservation Commission or Planning Board, this is the only place that we can place the system. It is as far away from everything as possible. The soil absorption system is 55 feet away from the full foundation. So even if we had to move the house back with input from the Conservation Commission, this system wouldn't move from where it's at now. So that's why I felt confident proceeding today with seeking these variances from the board. If you have any questions about the siting or about the site plans, I'd like to open up to any questions you may have now.
Thank you. Before we get to questions, I do want to ask if there are any abutters in the room or on Zoom who have any comments on the proposed variances. See and hear nothing. Okay.
I did have a question. Do
Go ahead.
you have your green cards? Were those going to be sent in to us for the?
Yes, they will be sent in to you.
Okay. Do you know when?
I can check with her. Hold on, if you want to just continue on, and I'll
Yep,
just check with her right
thanks.
now. All right.
Okay. And I know you went through this, but remind me, for the previous, the system that's being taken out, did those also receive variances? Did they meet the, oh, she just went out. He went out. He went out to look for the green card.
Sorry. The previous system that's there right now, Hope, is that what you're
Yeah,
asking about?
yeah.
Did it have any variances?
Yeah.
Let me look.
Oh, you're back.
I am.
There he is.
She's right next door in the office next door, so it was easy.
Sorry, I looked down at
She
my
has them in
computer,
her
I looked
hand.
up, you were gone.
She can scan those and email those over and then just put them in the mail tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, I just asked about if the old system had variances.
Yeah, yes.
It did, okay. Because I'm always worried about, and I want to be cautious about properties that are so close to a coastal bank. That is my concern here. So I understand that you're doing the best you possibly can do. I kind of also personally would like to hear from conservation. Honestly, it looks like a beautiful home that you're proposing. So with all due respect, I just want to make sure that it passes muster with conservation. But that's just me. Let my colleagues, if they have questions or concerns. But
You know, where, I'm really no good at reading these, but if it was, I'm not sure, the blue dot,
That's the 100 line.
huh?
This blue
Yeah,
dotted
but
line
where's
is
the
the 100
property
foot.
line?
This is right here, the property line.
This is the property
Mhm.
line. So
The
it,
solid line.
oh, so it can't go, I mean, if it was, it wouldn't be,
Yeah, they can't really go any
They
closer
can't
to the
really go.
property line, otherwise they'll be
No.
triggering those variances.
okay. I'm just curious, this has nothing to do with the sewer system, but you didn't say an 18-foot tall stone wall, did you?
No.
It says approximately 18.0.
Oh, that must be a typo, 18 inch. 18 inch.
I was like,
It's an 18 inch, yeah, that would be a big seat wall. No, that's an 18 inch
oh,
seat
that
wall.
would be interesting.
all right, Elena?
Okay.
No, I don't have time for
So,
comments.
I'm sorry, so the possibility is going to exist, down the road that you're going to have to move the house back?
There is a possibility that there may be modifications to the existing house, but the house can't go any further back than the separation to the sewage disposal system. So we have
House as
pushed
it
this.
is, though.
As it is.
As it is. The house
And
could
this,
also,
this is as,
get
yeah, as it
changed.
is. This is as far
Yeah.
away that we can push it
Yeah.
from the resource area. We've even asked for a 5-foot variance to push it even into the setbacks in the south and the east side. So we literally can't push it any further towards the street and away from the resource areas. And as you can see, a portion of the system is outside of the 100-foot buffer and a portion is in the 100-foot buffer. So we've done the best to get this as far
Yeah.
away as possible from anything.
yeah, I would still like to hear from conservation.
Yeah, I would too.
I'm getting yeses on both sides of me, so,
If we could just get a letter from staff, are there any, barring any changes to the house, if the house doesn't move and the Conservation Commission is fine with this, is this something that the board would recommend for approval if there were no changes? Just so that I can get some input. I don't want to do a round robin with the
yeah,
planning board.
fair enough.
Through the chair.
Huh?
I have two suggestions. You could either continue to a date certain, in which the engineer could come back at that date certain, hopefully after he's been to CONSCOM, or you could approve as proposed with a condition that it's subject to CONSCOM approval. Those I see as the two options.
I would rather continue, to be honest, and with respect, I understand that you're looking for some input. My goal, obviously, is that no variances are required, and I don't, I understand that that's not possible with this specific house and this specific lot, but we don't know what CONSCOM was going to say, so that's me and my colleagues.
So the next date of the Board of Health is July 31st, to give you an idea of the next date.
Yeah,
of a date
so
certain,
I would
which
propose.
is, I believe, after your CONSCOM meeting, correct?
It is after the CONSCOM meeting, but it's also after the planning board meeting as well. And I know the planning board likes to have some input from all staff conservation, historic, Board of Health, public safety, before they will issue a vote. So we'd be going, a full round robin with the planning board if we could get just some sort of input letter that where we've shown it is really the best that we can do up against the limits of what we are. And again, we're not increasing the bedroom count. We're taking what is there for bedroom count. We're moving a house out of the flood zone, and we're moving what is the septic system down in the flood zone to the highest point and furthest point of the property from the resource areas. And there really is no other place. If we had to, and we weren't changing anything on the existing house or the existing guest cottage and came before you, this would be the location that we would put it at the furthest point. So there really isn't any other place to put this if we had to do an upgrade for even if conservation denies this and we had to replace the system, this is where we'd have to put the system.
I don't think there's any disagreement on that, but this board does feel that they need the guidance from conservation and they
For
are
the vote.
offering you a continuance to a date certain.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that we'll take the continuance to, is it the 31st?
Yeah, thank you. All right,
All
we
right.
need
Make
to,
a movement?
yeah.
Make a motion to continue this until July 31st, the next meeting of the Board of Health.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Thank you.
right, thank you. All right. Next item is 62 Dory Lane.
All three of you are welcome.
Somebody come up and introduce yourselves,
All three
please.
of you come up. We'll get another chair.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Excuse me?
Richard Baker.
Richard Baker, thank you.
Carlos Ibargüen.
Nice to meet you.
And Robert Erickson.
Nice to meet you. All right.
Just to
Oh,
give, sorry.
go ahead,
Just to
Susan.
give the board some background on 62 Dory Lane, Mr. Baker is a contractor. He's been hired by the owners of 62 Dory Lane to finish an unfinished attic in their home at 62 Dory Lane. As a result of reviewing the building permit application, that I triggered it for a review for the Board of Health to review the proposed project. This property is located within the Brackett Landing development. That whole property is serviced by a Nitrex Plus septic system. So at the time that we were developing that property, the septic system was being designed and all of the properties were being built. They are very strictly limited to the number of bedrooms that were approved at the time that the septic system was approved. As well as it's important to keep an eye on the development of the dwellings as time goes on so that there are not more spaces potentially used as bedrooms. So when the property owners came in, I explained to them that you really need to have a 48-inch finished cased opening in that space so it doesn't meet the definition of a bedroom. And that's what they're here before you today, for the 48 to finish the space with a 48-inch finished cased opening. Okay.
Thank you. All right. So, and I appreciate that there is a system in place that is designed for a number of persons, and we don't want to violate that, overwhelm the system, do bad things to the environment. So, that is the reason. So, I don't have any specific questions. It seems from what I have been presented that you want to use this as an office space. And so there will not be any additional individuals residing at the property greater than are currently.
Correct.
Okay. Questions?
No, it seems pretty straightforward to me. They're complying with the requirements for a non-bedroom finished space. So I have no
Okay.
issue with that.
I'm fine.
So should
All
I
right.
make, I would make a motion
Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the project with the following conditions. No increase in habitable or occupiable square footage without Board of Health review. Any proposed changes or modifications to the approved floor plans require Board of Health review. Finished attic space not to be used as a bedroom. Applicant to follow any and all building, electrical, and plumbing permit procedures. Health Department to conduct final inspection when work is completed, and the Board of Health approval is valid until June 26, 2026.
Second?
Okay.
1 year, correct?
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Okay.
it's passed.
Done.
Done. Good luck. May you have a nice new office.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
All righty, the next item on our agenda is 285 Hatch Road.
Good afternoon, board members. Bob Reedy, engineer with J.M. O'Reilly and Associates, here on behalf of the Coastal Companies, property owner for 285 Hatch Road in Eastham. We were here before the board for this same project, I believe about 4 years ago. We're just asking for approval of an IA septic system, no variances or anything like that here. Is an existing 4-bedroom home that was torn down and now is in the process of being rebuilt with a new 4-bedroom home. But they didn't get it built within the 3-year period before the order expired. And then also working with the new homeowners of the property, they've decided they want to put a pool in the back, as you could see with the revised plans, which resulted in pushing the septic system over to the side rear yard. Other than that, there's no other changes to the plans that were previously approved by the board. Like I said, the house is currently under construction, but they haven't started building the septic system yet. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board has regarding this one.
I mean, other than the previous approval there was a possibility for a 5th bedroom. That's off the table now, right?
I'm sorry, I should have mentioned, that hasn't changed either, but the intent is just that I think what they wanted to do was put in an IA system. That's why they're doing it, so that a future homeowner could come back to the board for a 5th bedroom without having to make any changes to their septic system. Understanding that they haven't gotten approval for a 5th bedroom and that they would need to go before the board with a floor plan showing that 5th bedroom. For now, they're not actually doing that.
But the system design is only for 4 now, not 5.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, it would be something where they'd have to look
You're
at
gonna have to add a chamber and,
Well, actually,
no, it's only 4 now. Your previous plan was 5, which is why they put the condition on it before. But this one that you gave to us
let me
now.
just, I agree with you on the design flow. I definitely agree there. I didn't know if we actually had the capacity or not, but just
You
not.
have the capacity for the leaching area, but
Yeah,
like
okay.
what you did last time, you did 4-bedroom design, 5 potential. You didn't do that this time.
And I think we actually corrected
the
that, didn't we,
details.
last time? It was like, I know it's a little confusing. When I initially submitted the plans last time, I thought that's what they wanted to do. But we figured out after the filing, no, they're not looking to add a 5th bedroom. This is just for 4. And I thought that we had worked out as part of the filing that I would give you revised plans, which I did revise, saying that it's only 4 bedrooms.
Yes.
Right,
That's what you're proposing now.
so we would put a restriction for 4 bedrooms.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
that
right,
we will
that's
have a
gonna be
deed
4 for
restriction.
now.
I think we're all in agreement. I was
Okay,
just kind of saying
okay.
this is also what we were proposing last time as well.
Okay.
So just
Okay.
to clarify for myself, so the house is going to be demolished, or
It has been actually
The house
demolished
has
and
been
and is in
demolished.
the process of being rebuilt as shown on the plan here.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, a 4-bedroom dwelling being removed and a 4-bedroom dwelling being constructed.
And I just had a question, Susan. Were you saying that the system now, the capacity is limited to 4?
The design
So
flow
the-
criteria will be 4. The capacity of the leaching area has a possibility for 5. That's why I wanted it cleared up. Because I
Yes.
didn't want there to be confusion.
The goal is just not, from a regulatory perspective, this is a 4-bedroom system, but if they ever wanted to apply for a 5th bedroom, and if you approved it, they wouldn't have to actually make any changes to the physical system, the way it's been
Because the
installed.
leaching capacity
Is
is
big enough.
capable
Yeah.
of 5.
Okay.
That was my
It's
question.
not approved for that, but it has the capacity
Good.
if it were approved, if a bedroom were added in the future.
And
Thank you.
Maybe.
What's the status for the municipal water connection?
We are gonna start giving you updates on that when we get plans like this.
Yeah.
It will be a part of your review. Hillary and I were just talking about that
Okay.
today, that we thought it would be a good idea for you guys to know, when you open up a plan and read a review, you know if it's possible in the future. So I don't know this one right now.
Okay.
Well, so what this says, it's to be confirmed before, so are you connecting to municipal water?
I'm sorry, did you say sewer?
Firm, yes.
Water.
Yes,
We were
water is
Hearing
available.
sewer every time somebody
It's been
says
on your mind.
municipal.
In the future, it will be good to know about the sewers, but this is
It
water.
says connection to be confirmed, so I'm assuming that you are connecting to town water?
Yes, and we did confirm town water is available. That's where the gate is, right there.
It was in
I mean,
the-
Okay.
so back to the sewer business,
Oh.
is this property close to where this sewer, it's no.
It's not even,
No.
nowhere near.
Nowhere near.
I
Okay.
was actually
So
checking
it's
that
not
after you guys
even
talked
right.
about that while I was waiting to see make sure we weren't in one of those.
Nowhere near, that's what I
All right.
thought.
Okay, so if no other questions? Questions? All right, I'm going to make a motion to approve of this with the following conditions. No increase in habitable or occupiable square footage without Board of Health review and a butter notification. 4-bedroom deed restriction. I think it says 3 before me, but it should be a 4-bedroom deed
Yes, 4-bedroom.
restriction. And use of IA technology using Advantix AX20 treatment to be recorded with the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds. Secondary treatment and monitoring under general use approval conditions per DEP regulations, including quarterly effluent sampling or 2 times a year for seasonal use. For total nitrogen BOD TSS. Nitrate nitrogen not to exceed 19 milligrams per liter. And Board of Health conditions to be referenced on the deed restriction. Operation and maintenance agreement is to be submitted to the Eastham Health Department and Barnstable County Health and Environment. Operation and maintenance contract is required for the life of the system. Operators to report results to Barnstable County Health and Environment Database or directly to the Eastham Health Department if not available. Designer is to verify proper operation of the system prior to the issuance of the certificate of compliance. Final inspections and startup inspections to be witnessed by the Eastham Health Department. Connection to municipal water supply to be confirmed before issuance of the certificate of compliance. And then any sewer lines within 10 feet of municipal water supply lines are to be sleeved, and this Board of Health approval is valid until June 26, 2026.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
All
Good to
right.
go. Thank you for coming. All right. The next item is a reduction request for 65 Rolling Lane. Nobody on there, is there? Okay. 65. So, this looks like, with the exception of one strange reading,
What's that strange reading?
the 62.7, with the exception of one strange reading.
What happened there? It was a ladder.
Maybe it was a typo, I don't know. It looks like everything's under our required threshold, so that,
How could it get to
It's just weird because it's total nitrogens, but then nitrate's 2.7. I think it's weird. I think it's a typo or a lab error.
yeah.
must not
It's
be
something
correct.
hokey.
Yeah, something's
rotten.
weird. Well, the TKN is 60,
Yeah.
so that's maybe something's wrong there. Maybe it's .6.
I don't know.
Well, regardless, I think we can move unless somebody has a different idea to twice a year.
So it is a seasonal property. What were you thinking for months?
What have we been doing, like May and before, it's before and after, right? So May
So
and,
typically, if memory serves, typically you've been saying like early spring, late summer for the first and second samples. No? Have they not been?
No, that's correct.
I don't know. So, yeah, whenever you would like, April or
April.
May and September or whatever.
When somebody's not, when it's truly, people say seasonal, but then they go up during the winter and they, they're using it somewhat. I mean, so, but, because if it was all, nobody was there and the owner came up in the spring to like open the house up. At that point, when they tested when they did the testing, wouldn't the readings be off?
Yes.
So would,
So do you want to start saying sample, you're,
don't know, like-
on a seasonal property, you're always going to have the first sample's going to be high because the system hasn't been run, but you should see an improvement in the treatment by that second sample for seasonal.
I would still say April and September.
April, September. Okay.
I was thinking of June and October,
Because you're sensing that people are,
because then the house will be
Or-
in use, it would be a more like accurate reading, and then
but
like.
we also want the data too, to see what the improvement is, so when you're getting data that shows that it's not good, and then the improvement, that's valuable data too.
Well, if you,
Plus, at the end of the summer season is probably the highest, not to wait till the fall.
that's what I said, like June and October or something.
I would say September, beginning
June and
of September.
September.
You want June and September?
Or
I don't know, I just, because,
April and
because if you looked at those two readings over like several years' time, you would see if there was a discrepancy or if it was always in a similar range.
Or
then
would you
know
not,
the system was operating.
would you lose information on how the system operates when it's not being used?
Yeah.
Do we need that?
Yeah, I think
What do we
Susan is
need?
Difference is
suggesting
say May and
yes.
I
September.
don't know that it
We can split the
doesn't
difference and say May and
matter. I don't-
September.
How about May and September?
How about May and September?
Okay, May and September. So we'll recommend that the Board of Health approve the reduction request with the following conditions. Effluent sampling to be conducted 2 times a year in the months of May and September. And effluent sample results will be uploaded to the Barnstable County Department of Health and Environment IA database or forwarded to the Eastham Health Department if not available. Property owner to maintain an operation and maintenance contract for the life of the system.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
All right.
that moves us to beach applications and permits.
Beaches. So we have entered our 2025 beach sampling season. As you can see in your packets, the marine beaches, so saltwater beaches, Boat Meadow, Campground, Cole Road, Cooks Brook, Dyer Prince, First Encounter Beach, First Encounter River, Kingsbury, Salt Pond, South Sunken Meadow, Thumpertown, Town Cove, and freshwater, Great Pond, Herring Pond, Jemima's, Long Pond, Minister Pond, and Wiley Park. All of them have started to be sampled once a week on Wednesdays. Yes,
Okay.
on Wednesdays, which is a great sampling day. And we get weekly results from those, and if we need to close a beach for elevated bacteria results, we work with the rec department to close the beach, and the county will resample it. And we'll update you.
Don't we have to sign plans the way we did?
The what?
Sign,
You want,
Oh,
no, we don't
sign-
have any.
we usually sign the plans
Yeah.
after we have a vote, so.
Oh,
I do have a beach
the
permit.
one with the
for you to
variance
sign
we penned it.
we, the plans for the,
The
for,
variance, we don't
But the
have to-
variance, we pushed that ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
no, but you mean for the hatch house, this one? That we just approved?
Yeah.
Do we
No.
need signed
the one
plans
before
for the
that.
Hatch Road?
So you only had, you had one that you continued for 35 Shurtleff, you don't need to sign those. And then you had 62 Dory Lane, which you don't need to sign those. If you want to sign Hatch Road, you can.
I mean, we're,
It's up to you, what do you need from us?
Sure.
For administrative purposes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we will sign.
I just wanna make sure that you're
A
covered.
motion and a second and an approval for the beaches, please, though.
Okay, a motion
Just anywhere? Oh, no.
to continue sampling on Wednesdays for all marine and freshwater beaches within the town of Eastham. Is that,
Is that the motion?
is that good enough, Susan?
Yeah.
Yes, that's good.
All right, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Sam, you got that?
Yep.
Sorry, Sam's doing multiple things.
Were you the first? Who?
I made the motion, yes.
You made the motion? Who
Yes.
was the second?
I don't remember.
I did it.
I think.
Perfect, thank
Francie.
I did it.
I think we're all getting a little.
All right, now we have minutes, but I have a question on the other business, so don't go anywhere yet. So, March and April meeting minutes. Let's start with March. Did anybody have any edits or comments on,
I wasn't there,
oh, okay.
so I can't vote.
Do we now have a quorum for the March minutes?
Oh,
And I'm not listed in the April, but I was there.
Oh,
oh,
sorry about that.
okay, so let's pass on the March, because we don't have a quorum. So, on the April, let's move to the April minutes, so,
We'll add an edit
We-
that Elena was there.
yeah,
I
we'll
only
leave it
had,
in.
there was one little typo, Sam,
Okay.
somewhere. It was, where was it? Variance, the first variance, it says just coastal, you forgot the A.
Okay.
Coastal Bank.
all right.
That was,
So,
that was it. And I just was wondering if, do we get, when we look, do we ever get updates on what what is in the minutes?
well, I was going to actually ask, we'll get there for an update on 157 Brownell.
Oh, okay, fine.
And that was in the minutes. That's why I mentioned it now,
I know,
but.
that's why I was asking.
So let's, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes for the April 2025 meeting of the Board of Health with 2 corrections as noted. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we get that other business, my only other business is I was interested to hear if there is an update on 157 Brownell.
There is absolutely no update at all. We have not heard from Mr. Moot. The Conservation Department began issuing citations to him, and we have not heard a single word from him.
And did we not, is it not, I should look at it again. There's a penalty that we imposed
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
So that should have started already, I believe.
We will commence that,
'Cause it
Well,
was,
look at
We're fining him $200 a day starting January 29th.
I believe that is what you told us to do, yes.
So, and how do,
Starting June 29th, not January.
oh, it's.
January, no, they wanted to go
Says
back,
Oh, you
go
wanted
back.
to go back in time, that's right.
Yeah. Mhm. So we'll calculate that and send him one citation in that amount from that
That's a
day.
huge amount of money.
Yes,
And he's done nothing.
he's done nothing.
I have I'm wondering, so how do we follow up on these things?
You can just ask, because we follow up on them pretty regularly.
You do?
Yeah.
Like it's sitting on Susan's desk and she's like, Sam, go over there and see.
No, we go, we go as a team, so the Conservation Department and the Health Department, and we have a number of sites that we go and look at, and we take notes, we mark it in the calendar, so we know when we're there, we knock up to see if anyone's home to talk to, and then we go back to the office, and it's all documented. So we do actually follow up on them weekly, just to see, because if you're not out there, and once we start issuing citations, we have to go daily, because at any moment, things could change.
right, right.
So was he given, because this was in the minutes of our last meeting in April. And then he was given no time, I mean, he had to be compliant, he was supposed to be compliant with this from.
May.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, no, so how do we, so we just mail him like a bill?
Yep. We mail him a non-criminal citation, and he has the right to appeal. His right to appeal goes to the courthouse, And then we would schedule a hearing if he chose that option, or he can choose to pay the citations and we keep issuing them until he gets fed up and frustrated with the citations and we could come to an agreement.
Okay.
Does there anyone have any idea why he would do that rather than fix the problem?
I think it's a matter of cost, it's a matter of indecision, it's a matter of what he thinks is going to happen to the property.
I mean, yeah, he could just
Many
be playing
different
it out.
factors.
Who knows? Yeah, yeah. Is there other
There's
business?
these two other items
Yep.
from them. That one was the letter, does anyone know about Eversource and the herbicides, or,
Oh, we sent them a letter.
but was there any update on what they're doing? We don't know
No,
what
there
they're doing.
generally isn't.
Not required to.
Is there some, like, Cape-wide movement or consortium of towns that are trying to work with Eversource about this problem? I mean,
I know
the
there,
day.
yeah, there was several years back, but I just think it fizzled out because they need to do what they need to do to maintain the power lines, and that's a priority.
well, they could mow, they could cut.
They do both.
They
That's
do.
in their operation plan. They don't just spray, they don't just mow, they do both.
And what could you clarify what, I don't know what this means. We will be implementing a 6-month septic upgrade waiver?
Oh.
What did we do about, what was that? Please
So, under your local
refresh my
regulations,
the memory.
the requirement for a property transfer is a conforming Title V septic system. We know that happens with a septic inspection report that's filed with the health department, and we review it and issue a passing letter on a passing septic inspection. For properties that don't meet your minimum standards for that regulation, or properties that are on a cesspool, in an effort to not stop a property transfer on a property that's not conforming, we talked about it at one meeting recently.
Yeah.
Where we told you guys that there was gonna be a form that was gonna be recorded, and
It essentially gives them 6 months.
6 months to upgrade, the new property owners. And they sign it, the current owner signs it, the new owners sign it, it gets recorded, we keep track of the dates.
Yeah, you did tell us about
Yeah,
that.
we did tell you.
I just wanted to remember.
Can't remember.
Which reminds me, like, what, if any, are our next steps on cesspools?
Are we going forward with our cesspool monitoring project?
I think we'd like to get through the summer. If that's okay?
I'm trying not to drop a ball here, because I
Nope,
think it's
nope.
important.
Important for you to keep us on top of it as
So,
well, like September.
Too many beaches and restaurants to inspect.
Yeah.
you know,
Plans.
not to mention a whole new sewer thing happening, but,
Yeah. Hillary and I
no,
did just
completely
talk about
understood.
it.
I just want to kind of be on the record that we are continuing to
Yes.
work on it,
Yes,
and
we
we'll
are.
reconvene and discuss in the
Yes.
fall.
And
or
I think
something
we'll
like
be
that.
proposing a few other changes to the regulations as well that
regulations.
we've been talking about internally, so.
Yeah. I think maybe you should be prepared for, in September-ish, us giving you a lot of documentation on things that we'd
Good.
like for you to address.
One of the other things, some of the sewer discussions reminded me of that we discussed, maybe before you were on the board, I can't remember, was pesticide use regulations. We didn't come to any conclusions, but we just discussed
right.
that as another way of reducing nitrogen runoff.
Fertilizer.
Fertilizer, that's what I meant,
We
I'm
have
sorry.
fertilizer regulations. We do have fertilizer
town
regulations.
Yes,
I
but
think it applies.
We did discuss it because nobody abides by them, because you can go to Ace Hardware and buy all the fertilizer you want from wherever.
so there's no enforcement, but,
There's no enforcement.
We have fertilizer? I'm asking Chad. Anyway, in any case, we don't have to answer this now, but just to keep it on the radar is
Yes,
things that
we
we
are.
have discussed in terms of protecting the groundwater.
It's everywhere throughout the town.
Okay, I guess we have to familiarize ourselves with the regulations as well.
Sorry,
That's
sorry.
okay, I can't
know it's in there
remember.
because I was queried on it in one of our Q&A sessions, so
Oh.
I.
No, that's good, that is all good. All right, do we have anything other, but, yes?
How did your interview go with,
Hilda?
yes,
Oh, I thought it went very well, and I'm not sure of next steps.
next steps?
I'm-
I'll follow
think-
up then with the, if you want me to.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, I thought that it went well, and she was interested in whatever concern she had, I hopefully alleviated.
I think her concern, because I spoke to her like off the record at one point, because she's in Florida for much of the winter.
Oh, well, yeah, she didn't want to, she'd have to participate remotely, but we have that option, so.
Yeah, that's not
Um,
changing anytime soon, I wouldn't think.
So I think that was fine, and she also was concerned about our level of expertise with septic systems, which I assured her that
None of
we
us
we have
do anything.
books. Then I would
books.
share them. We have books. My books at home. But no, quite seriously, because that's just not in all of our experience or expertise, so.
It wasn't.
Sewers.
I'll do great.
All right,
So this is
anything
a
else?
potential new member.
Yes. Yeah. And who's her, is she a nurse?
Hmm?
Is she a nurse? No.
I think she was a nurse, yeah.
Nurse, okay. So, that's good. Anyway, okay, no other new business, other business? All right, then I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the Eastham Board of Health meeting is adjourned at